All right, let's not waste any time. We got a lot of things to go through. It is a patch day, which means we also have a data mine to go along with it. With the patch came character mastery, which I think has had some mixed reviews. My big concern with character mastery was going to be that it's going to be a little bit grindy, which is kind of looking like it's likely. And then also my biggest disappointment, and it probably is on my fault for not completely understanding how the system worked, is that once you unlock a background or an effect, you can't just apply both of those to a card. You then have to hope you get a split with said background and or effect, which is a little bit disappointing. I was thinking that as we unlock these, as we're going up character mastery, we would then just be able to apply those to cards together. And that's not necessarily the case as much as I'm being able to tell. But it is what it is. We'll see how time, treats character mastery. I think it's just another thing. It's not a bad thing. I think it's a very cool system. We'll see kind of how it works out. But other than that, we do have the new patch notes. We do finally have a look at the what if season, which I'm really stoked about. And we had some major changes to some of the cards from the last data mine, which was just like an absolute dagger to my heart. A couple of our boys did not make it. So let's get in there and let's look. At first, let's look at the cards that got changed. All right, let's start with the season pass card in Agamotto. He did get some minor changes. He now is a 5'10". The weird thing is that his description actually got taken off. It previously said at the start of the game, shuffle spells into your deck. I think we can safely assume that's probably what it's going to be, but maybe they want to change it a little bit, so they removed it off of his card this time. But he's being joined by 4 spell cards at this point in time. The first one being Bolts of Balthok. It is a 3/0 on reveal. Next turn, you get +4 energy. Banish this, which banish is a new, I guess, keyword. And I think the assumption is that banish is you play it and then it disappears and then it doesn't go into discard or destroyed piles, which I think is honestly a really, really intriguing mechanism that they're adding to the game. But either way, Bolts of Balthok is a very interesting ramp card that I think could go into a lot of interesting decks, especially since it's on turn 3. You add, you played on turn 3, it goes to turn 4. You have 8 energy on turn 4. You could get some, really big 6 cards out there plus the 2. I think that sounds pretty good, especially with some of the cards we're going to be looking at coming down the pipeline. The next spell that we got is Images of Icon. It is a 4/0 on reveal. Transform your other cards here into copies of the highest power one. This one sounds nuts. I mean, and I really do misinterpret cards all the time, but I just think this one sounds really cool, and there's so many things that you potentially could do with this. I mean, even from a zoo package. Let's say you throw out there, you've got Squirrel Girl in a lane, you throw a Kate Bishop arrow with them, and then on like turn 4, you throw down a cheap Mockingbird. You then throw out Images of Icon, and it turns everything into a Mockingbird, which this gets banished, so it's going to just take those 3. So it's going to only transform 3 cards in that lane, which means you still have an open slot. There's also other just things that you could possibly do, and maybe you have a really good ongoing deck and you just kind of keep it low, and maybe you try and get multiple copies of Khazar, or Blue Marvel will be a little bit hard, mainly because he's buffing everything up and he's only got 3 power. But there's a lot of really, really interesting things you could kind of do with this. I mean, even something as simple as throwing out a big Sage on Wong in a negative package, and then the final turn you drop Images of Icon on it. Really, really interesting. I'm curious to see what people kind of throw together with this card, because it sounds really good. Next one on the list is Temporal Manipulation. Yeah, Temporal. It's got a little eye in front of it, which is kind of weird. On reveal, give Agamotto +3 power, put him into your hand if he's not in play. It's a 1/0 draw. At this point, giving it +3 power is in fact a 5/13. Not bad. And banish this so it doesn't clog up your board. Seems so freaking strong. Really, really like that. I'm really curious if you played that on reveal on, let's say, Wong, for instance, if it's going to give him +6. But I mean, if he's not, it's only going to draw him once, but it probably would give him +6 then. So I don't know. Really, really interesting card. It's just drawing Agamotto out. I think that's a great card. Thinning your deck. And then the next one is going to be Winds of Watum. On reveal, afflict an enemy card here with -5 power and move it right. Banish this. Very interesting for 2 power. You're literally going to move a card out of a slot and also add afflict to it. So that's honestly, that sounds so good, especially in a bunch of like ongoing packages if they've got Iron Man or, you know, Onslaught, or, you know, certain decks that require a bunch of cards to be in place. I mean, I love Arrow for that reason. Arrow is to me just a fantastic card, just for a little bit of disruption to move cards around, and plus people generally don't see it coming. Especially on stuff like Moonstone into Mr. Fantastic. You throw down Arrow on turn 5, it moves the Moonstone out of the lane. I think that Winds of Atum is going to be really, really strong. So I'm kind of nervous to run into it, but also kind of excited to play around with it. But that's the changes to Agamotto. Let's look at what all the Spotlight Cash cards changed to. All right, now let's look at the Spotlight Cash cards and how they just took a dagger and just stabbed me in the heart and twisted a little bit. Some of these cards I was excited for got absolutely butchered. The first one is our boy Isan. I think everyone was really excited about this card. Everyone was, you know, putting together some theory crafting on how to make decks for him. And he went from a 6/13 legendary at the start of the game. If all your cards have different powers, give them +2 power. I'm gonna miss you. He got turned into 6/9 after each turn. Put a card from your hand that didn't start in your deck here. I don't know. he's a Airshim add-in now, which is really unfortunate, especially that didn't start in your deck. He's a throw-in for Airshim. I mean, he's good for card gen, but it's also like he's a 6/9, so you're gonna have to have some way to ramp him out, which he does have synergies with Agamotto, especially with that ramp card or wave. But even wave, I mean, yeah, you can wave and get him out on turn 4, but I mean, just overall, I don't know. I'm kind of disappointed in what he turned into, because I was really, really excited about what he was. But we'll see. I mean, maybe he'll be an interesting card. Just slightly disappointed with kind of his change. The next one on the list is we're going to look at Firehair. She's a 2/2. You can move this once. When this moves, revive one of your destroyed cards here. And now she's a 2/3. When one of your cards is destroyed, this uses that card's on reveal. Really like her now. I think she has such cool synergies with Misery now. Really, really excited to kind of see what we can potentially do with Firehair. I was not a big fan of her old text, but I think now I'm kind of all in. I'm like, the possibilities with her with Misery is kind of endless. Really, really excited for, because I'm picturing, you know, we throw out essentially all the stuff with Misery now, which, I mean, the more worrisome thing is what's this going to do for Mill? Because Mill now, you know, you throw out Yondu, you maybe even have a Hood in the lane. What else? A Cable, and then you know, Misery, all of them, and then she's gonna do the same thing. Oh god, I hate it. I'm out. That's so good, and it's not even in that lane. It's when one of your cards is destroyed, this uses that card's on reveal. That's across the board. So really, really concerned now that I think about the Mill package. Nobody's gonna have a deck at this point. We were all hoping for a Mill nerf, and then they give them Firehair. So we'll have to see how that goes. And then I think that is it. Nope, Starbrand. Our boy Starbrand went from a 6/8 at the start of the game, +2 power for each card in your deck with 10 or more power. And now he's a 3/10 ongoing. Your opponent has +3 power at each other location. So I don't know. He's Red Skull. I mean, honestly, he's a card to go in Sauron. I don't know. I think that's too much to throw into Surtur. I mean, essentially, he's a 3/4 because you're giving +2 power to additional lanes, which is going to be 6 total. So technically, he's a 3/4. But I mean, he goes great in Sauron. It's a very, very good card. I love to see Sauron actually getting some love. But overall, I don't know. I'm not as hyped as I was. I was really excited for Starbrand with his old text. But I mean, I guess Surtur doesn't necessarily need any more buffs. So that's fine. It is what it is. And then the last one is we got the first Ghost Rider. He was a 2/4. On reveal, discard the lowest power card for your hand. Remove that card's power from this. And now he's a 2/6. The on reveal, discard the lowest powered card from your hand, remove that card's power from this. I've seen a lot of people throwing out ideas for this, and I love that everyone immediately went to Hobgoblin. They're like, we're gonna discard Hobgoblin, we're gonna throw in regular Ghost Rider, we're gonna bring the Hobgoblin back, it's gonna go across the board to your opponent, and then this is gonna be a 2, what is that math, 14? Yeah, I mean, that doesn't suck. That's a really good idea. For me, honestly, I was thinking Hela. I mean, you throw him in Hela, you guarantee to discard Iron Man or Gore. That doesn't suck. I mean, he discounts, or he, you know, gets rid of Gore, and he essentially still gets, what is Gore, -3, -2, whatever he is. He still gets a boost to his power. Or if he discards Iron Man, he doesn't lose any power. He's a 2/6. So that's where I'm kind of envisioning him going, is into a Hela package. I really do like the Clog potential with him throwing out Hobgoblin or Green Goblin, but we'll see if he necessarily works in that package or not. But that is all the cards for the coming season. I lied. We have Khonshu. Khonshu was a 2/1, now is a 6/5. When discarded, returns in its next phase. On reveal, resurrect a card you discarded to another location with its power set to 5. So to me, it sounds like Khonshu's going to be in your hand. When you discard him, he comes back, and then he's actually going to progress through regular Khonshu and then Waxing Moon and Full Moon, which sounds really, really good, because once you get him to Waxing Moon, his stats go to 6/7. When discarded, return in its final phase. On reveal, resurrect a card you discarded to another location with its power set to 7. And then finally, when you discard him again, he becomes a 6/12. On reveal, resurrect a card you discarded to another location with its power set to 12. Seems really, really strong. I think the thing is you're gonna have to have ways to get rid of this guy. And on top of it, also discard another card that you want to bring back as a 12 power. So I think that he's gonna have, I mean, immediate synergies with Moon Knight. I think that's a duh. But overall, I mean, he's going to be a very interesting card to throw into a discard package to try and figure out kind of how he fits in. I think he could be a potentially really, really cool card. We're just gonna have to play around with him, see if he fits into a discard package, or he kind of opens up his own archetype with Moon Knight and a bunch of other cards, because most of the cards you want to discard in discard don't go away, but in this one it's more like with Hela, where you want it to disappear, you want it to be discarded so that you can bring it back later. So very, very interesting card. I'm really, really excited to kind of play around with him and see what kind of decks he fits into. Okay, to start it off, we got Dum Dum Dugan, who didn't have any tanks before, and I'm not sure what season he's going to fall into. I imagine Dum Dum Dugan's going to be a card that we get in one of the events, such as High Voltage or Deadpool's Diner, but he's going to be a 2/2. Ongoing, your cards in the front row here have +1 power, which is really, really cool that they're implementing this of like, okay, there's the defined front row and back row on each of the on the board. So I'm actually really curious to see how this is going to work out, especially considering the next card we're going to talk about is Captain Carter. She's going to be the season pass card for the What If season, and her stats are a 4/2. Ongoing, your other cards in the back row here gain this card's power. So essentially, as long as she's in the front row, she's one of the first ones, everything behind her is then going to get her power added to them, which is really, really interesting, especially from, I mean, even from a buff deck standpoint. I mean, you hit her with Galactus, becomes a 4/5. That's +10 power behind her, assuming you can actually get her in the front row and on top of it, put 2 cards behind her. That's real. I mean, that seems really, really good. I think my main disappointment with Captain Carter is the fact that it was not, I mean, it makes sense. She's not a Captain America, she's a Captain Britain. But we don't know if the shield's going to work for her then, because she's not technically a Captain America. I was thinking that it was going to be Captain America Peggy Carter, but that makes 0 sense because she's Captain Britain. So is what it is. So I don't think that Sam Wilson's shield is going to work with her, but that's fine. It is. And then we're going to move on and let's look at the spotlight caches for the What If season, which I'm really, really excited about, because there's actually only one card in all of April that I currently own. This is free reign for me. I'm so excited. I know people already gave me shit for hoarding resources, but at this point, I'm so excited for March, and now I'm even more excited for April because April is just open ocean. Like there's not a week that I can't hit a new card on, and I'm really excited about it. But let's take the look at the first week. It's going to be April 1st through April 8th. We have Goliath being joined by Gwenpool and Cersei. Gwenpool is the only card in all the Spotlight weeks that I actually own. So for me, I'm like a kid in a candy store. I'm like, let's freaking go. But Goliath is a 2/1 ongoing +1 power for each other ongoing you have in play. Great ongoing card. Like, great ongoing card, especially if you have an ongoing deck, you throw him out there. He's a 2 cost, so he stacks with Moonstone as well. I think this is a really strong card, especially, I mean, if you have 2 other ongoing cards in every other lane, I mean, that's already, he's a 2/7. Really good, and especially if you have Moonstone or you got Onslaught or any other cards to kind of buff him up, I think that he's going to be a really good 2-cost card. Really excited. And especially, I mean, Cersei's whatever, Gwenpool is a really good card in Surfer. I think this is going to be a very interesting week. Moving on to, I can't believe I cannot remember how to say her. I think it's Kaori. I think it's Kaori. I literally watched the show with her, and I even have her comic book. She's a 4/6 on reveal. For each card in your hand, give a friendly card +1 power. Our boy Devil Dinosaur is getting some love, I feel like. So, I mean, yeah, it's especially Devil Dinosaur, Moon Girl, pretty much anything to have a big hand that seems really interesting. I kind of like it because, I mean, it does. It gives that deck just a little bit more love. I think it's going to go great into the card gen just because that is a deck that you continuously have a full hand into. She definitely sounds very interesting, especially you throw her out. You have let's say you have a full hand, you have 7 cards. She's getting +6 power. She's a 4/12. I mean, that's Ares. Really, that's Ares without the without the gamble. So I do like her. I think she's a very interesting card. She's being joined by Cold Obsidian and Hydra Bob. Both cards I actually really want, but I never wanted to use tokens on them. So, I mean, Hydra Bob probably deserved the tokens till he got nerfed. But Cold Obsidian is just one that I really want, but I've never been like, he's worth the tokens for it. I've mentioned that in the past. So I'm actually really excited for this week. All right, the next week, we've got April 15th through April 22nd. I'm really excited about this just because I think this is a cool character. We've got Infinity Ultron, and what's not to love about Ultron with the Infinity Stones embedded in his chest? I mean, it's just freaking cool. He's being joined by Cannonball and Pixie. He's a 5/6 on reveal. Add 2 Ultron Infinity Stones to your hand, which we don't have the card arts for these yet, but we do have some of the descriptions. So the first one is the Ultron Space Stone. On reveal, move the lowest power enemy card here to essentially the stone's location. That's so good. I mean, honestly, just being able to lock your opponent out of a lane, that seems just, it's so strong. I mean, it's a mini Arrow or Polaris, except it's bringing over guaranteed something that has very little, you know, power to it. Really like that. It seems honestly pretty strong in my opinion. But then again, I like cards like Arrow. The next one is the Reality Stone, which we don't necessarily really know yet. It says on reveal, added something here and set its power for another modifier. So essentially you're going to be bringing something to that lane and adding power to it based on some sort of modifier that we're not sure yet. The next one is the Time Stone. On reveal, put a card from your hand here. So essentially it's a mini Jubilee, except it's out of your hand instead. I mean, honestly, it's Red Wing without the move. It's literally a better Red Wing. Next one is Ultron Mind Stone. Ongoing, your on reveal abilities here happen twice. What? There's no way that stays. There's no way that's, how much does that cost? I mean, I mean, you Wong. I mean, what? I need answers. It seems too good. It really depends on the cost. Because I mean, what if this thing is like, I don't know, 2 costs? You throw out Wong on turn 4, you throw this on top of him, and then all of a sudden your Silver Surfer or your Ironheart or anything is just going nuts. That's dangerous. I'm really curious to see if that stays or what the cost on that's going to be. The next one's the Power Stone. On reveal, double Infinity Ultron's power. Seems really, really good. Especially if you do have the Mind Stone out there, and then you throw the Power Stone down on top of it, and all of a sudden, Infinity Ultron goes from a, what, 5'6" to a 5'24". That's it's good. That's good, which I understand you're only getting 2 of these each turn, so it is a little bit of gamble. You're not guaranteed to get both of these every time. And on top of it, he is a 5 cost, so you're only going to be getting these on turn 6. So there is some limitations to it. The next one is the Soul Stone. On reveal, for each full location you have, give a friendly card there, +2 power. That one seems not as great as the rest of them, but I mean, once again, most of these stones are going to be dropped on turn 6 or 7. So I guess they do have to be fairly strong for that to happen. I am curious to see what the cost on these are. I guess if, they are relatively high cost and you're usually only getting these on the last turn of the game, some of these abilities do kind of check out. I mean, you're not getting a 2-0 Mind Stone, and on reveals happen here twice on, early in the game. I mean, it's a final turn swing. But God, he seems really strong. So really, really excited to play around with Infinity Ultron. He seems like a lot of fun. All right, on to the next one. Okay, April 22nd through April 29th, we've got Strange Supreme. He's being joined by Speed and US Agent. I mean, I swear to God, they just took the list of like, okay, what are all the cards that Dare wants? Let's slam all of them into April. Really want Speed, and I really want US Agent. So Strange Supreme is a 2-0. Give this +2 power whenever it merges. After each turn, merge one of your cards that didn't start in your deck into this, which is very interesting. This goes back to another card gen conversation of you're throwing down card gen cards and he's just swallowing them up and eating. I really, really like this, and I think this actually solves a really big problem with card generation, is that once you've thrown out all your cards to, generate cards, your board's full. So I really, really like Strange Supreme for that, because then you can just start feeding him those cards without worrying about clogging everything up even more. I think he's going to be a lot of fun. Another card this season that I'm extremely excited for. Hopefully they don't change these like they did to us for the March cards. But I think this is going to be a really cool card. I think it's going to go great in the card gen, or Airsham for that matter. But either way, really, really excited for Strange Supreme. Really excited for this week. Moving on. All right, and the last one is we've got April 29th through May 6th. We've got Hydra Stomper being joined by Aranya and Madam Web for all you move lovers out there that missed out on both of these cards. Hydra Stomper is a 3-1 ongoing +1 power for each card you move this game. It's a move lover's paradise here. If you like move, apparently this is the week for you. But I mean, that seems like an extremely strong ongoing, especially if you have, a lot of cards on the board. Let's say you have, I don't know, let's say you even have 2 in each lane, which the left lane doesn't really count. Let's say you have 3 cards in the middle lane, and the right lane you throw out Heimdall. They all move over. I mean, that's 6 power for him. Could be interesting, especially if you're already bouncing a bunch of cards around in the game. So I don't know. I'm actually really curious to see how Hydra Stomper turns out. I think that he could get some really, really high numbers, really depending on how strong of a move player you are. So very, very interesting card. It seems like a fantastic week for the move lovers out there. Or if you want to be a move lover, this is definitely a week that you probably need to chase after. But either way, that's all the Spotlight caches. All right, let's run through the bundles real quick. To start it off, we've got a $10 bundle for a What If version of Hela, which we do not have the artwork for yet. Which comes with 500 credits, 1,000 gold, a cosmic green border, and her avatar picture, which, I mean, overall, the currency value on this is actually not terrible. So if you're looking for spending, it probably could be, and you like to play a hell a lot, this probably is going to be a very interesting variant. And yeah, let's move on to the next one. Next one is Titans of the Cosmos Awaken. I hate how much I like these. It's $100. You get a Mech Blue Marvel and a Mech Gilgamesh. And why do I want these so much? I mean, I like mechs. I watched I watched Gundam Wing when I was a child on Toonami, and so I've always really liked mech stuff, and I love Zoo. Blue Marvel and Gilgamesh are two of my favorite cards. I hate that this is $100. These are such cool variants. Oh god, maybe someday. Maybe someday. We're moving on. Next one is we got Blinding Beauty on April 2nd for $25. We got a Black Swan variant with 4,000 credits. Not terrible, especially if you're really wanting Black Swan for that bounce package that you've been putting together. Next one is we've got a gold bundle for 3,500. Perfectly calculated. On April 3rd is a Beast variant with 3,000 collector's tokens. This is probably the gold bundle to be spending your gold on for anyone that is trying to collect collector's tokens or looking to spend their gold for the month. This is probably the bundle to chase after. I mean, it's unfortunate that it is Beast, but it is what it is. We can't get a Series 4 or 5 every time. Next one, on April 25th, we've got April 25th Snow. That's interesting. We've got Luna Snow for $50 with a Spotlight Cash Key, 3,500 tokens. That's an interesting Series 5 bundle, especially with, at this point in time, we'll know whether Luna Snow dropped or not. I'm going to say she didn't, because that's a little soon for her to be dropping, considering she just came out in December. So that could be an interesting bundle if you necessarily really want Luna Snow, which she's not a hugely played card, but if you really like high Evo, she kind of seems to find a home there. Next one is Chromatic Charge for $25. We've got a Beta Ray Bill variant out there on 3,500 gold, which, I mean, honestly, I know at least one person out there who really wants Beta Ray Bill. Next one is Mutant Matrix for $15. It is a Cerebro variant and 2,500 credits. Not terrible for a $15 bundle, but I mean, I think the unfortunate thing here is our boy Cerebro just needs some love, because that is actually a really cool variant. Next one on the list is Gore. It doesn't actually have a name for it, but you got a Gore variant, 2 Spotlight Keys, 5,000 gold for $100. Ooh, that's an expensive package, but I guess if you don't have Gore and you're more than happy to spend that kind of money, this is probably a really decent bundle. Next one is Birds Aren't Real. I actually really like this variant of Red Wing. $35 for a Red Wing variant, 2,000 credits and 3,000 gold. As far as currency value, it's just fine. I guess we don't even really know how good Red Wing's going to be or not, so time will tell. Okay, next one is the Collector's Bundle for 8,000 gold. You get 6,000 collector's tokens, a Spotlight Key, some matte black borders, and a bunch of random boosters. I mean, if you got the gold, I mean, if you're sitting on a ton of gold, this is probably it. I mean, 8,000 gold is expensive. The currency value is better. The exchange rate is better than the gold bundle. So, I mean, you could spend 3,500 on Beast and get 3,000, or you could spend 8,000 and get the tokens and a key. I don't know. I mean, I don't think there's a lot of people that are, min-maxing their gold that way that are going to have 8,000 gold on hand for this. If you do, I'd say take it and run, but I don't know if this is necessarily something you need to save for, because that is a lot of gold. But it's definitely something to keep in mind. Next one is we got a $10 bundle, Legendary Outlaw for Black Panther, for 500 credits, 1,000 gold. That's actually pretty decent for $10. Then we've got Wisteria Marksman for $50. You've got a Kate Bishop variant, 3,000 collector's tokens and 3,000 gold. It's a really cool Kate Bishop variant. Not bad, because you do get collector's tokens and a ton of gold in this one. All right, here's the next one that I am really torn on. It is Crimson Petals Silver Steel for $20. That has a really cool Culling Wing variant. Really like that one. that one. It's right up my alley. 1,500 gold, 1,500 gold, or 1,500 credits, 1,500 gold. So it's not that bad value. This may be one that I'm really torn on whether I want to spend the $20 on it or not. But we will see. Next one is Divine Defender. We've got an Angela variant, 3,000 credits for 2,200 gold. The currency value of this was not very good for the gold to the credits. It's better than some that we've seen in the past because it's only 2,200. But overall, unless you're probably really early Series 3, I probably would not recommend this one, unless, I mean, there are some people that like the credits because you get the keys faster. So that's up to you. I probably would not recommend this one because the currency value is just not there. Next one is a Rocket and Groot bundle for $50 and a Spotlight Cash Key and a Cosmic Green border. Comes along with 2,500 gold. I mean, that's not bad. Rocket and Groot, $50 for a relatively newish Series 5 card. I'm not gonna say I regret not getting him, but Rocket and Groot are in a bunch of decks that I like to run and enjoy. So we will, if you need them, not a bad bundle. Next one is Lady Lash. We've got Valentina, 2,500 collector's tokens for $25. The 2,500 collector's tokens is just an odd number. Why not just leave it at the 3,000? Why? But I mean, it's just an okay bundle for Valentina. I mean, you do get a Series 4 card. I highly doubt she drops a Series 3 since she just recently dropped, but a Series 4 card and some collector's tokens for $25. Next one is Waifu Widow. You get White Widow, 4,000 credits for $25, which is, I mean, it's okay. White Widow literally fell off the face of the earth after her nerf. I don't think anyone really ever plays her. I played her in my Surtur deck a month or two ago when he came out, just because I like to pair her with armor because it was a little bit evil. But overall, I mean, it's not really played a whole lot anymore. And then that is, I believe, the decks for the month, or the bundles for the month. Okay, and that is our Datamine Spotlight Caches and bundles for the month. Let me know your thoughts down the bottom. Who are you looking forward to? Who are you not looking forward to? Are you as disappointed with the ESON change as I am? Is there any bundles that particularly have your eye? Just let me know down in the comments. Overall, I think that's all I got for this video. So hit that like button if you enjoyed it. Hit that subscribe button for more of my content. I hope you guys all have a fantastic day. I'll see you in the next one. See you later.